Hello and welcome to Susty in the City. Happy New Year, everyone. Today we have Luisa-Christie with me. We're going to be talking about Veganuary. It's a Veganuary special. We're going to be talking about veganism, the community, really how welcoming and inclusive it is as well. So it's actually going to be kind of a juicy one, I think. Yeah, you're not one to hold your tongue, so I feel like this will be kind of good.
Yeah, no, I won't hold my tongue, but I'm not mean.
You're not mean. No, I know.
I'll see if I can make you. Gossip.
Yeah. I've got Luisa-Christie here. She is a plus-size vegan, LGBTQ as well. And she's also the founder of Vegal Gang.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Another vegan thing that I do.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no.
How exciting. I feel like we've talked about this for months.
Yeah.
It's so nice that it's like finally come to fruition. It looks like I've just walked in out of a blizzard.
Yeah, no, it got so far on that I was like, I really wanted you for the Veganuary series. So I was just ghosting you for a little bit and I was like, now it's Veganuary, you're here. First of all, yeah, Veganuary special. Tell me about your vegan journey. When did you go vegan? How are you finding it? What do you love about it? Why did you do it? All that stuff.
So I'm actually like a lifetime vegetarian, was brought up veggie, so 33 years without meat, never even tried it, never not intentionally tried it or fish, but I was like a cheese addict, I absolutely loved cheese, and to the point that like some of my friends' nickname for me was Jesus. Hilarious. I mean, I like they were comparing me to their Jesus or something, but what a strange nickname. There was a point that my mum was a bit worried that I was going to become like allergic to cheese because I ate it so much. Like I'd grate it on everything.
It sounds like, do you play The Sims?
No, I did back in the day.
You can get like the grilled cheese ambition if you like mess up your Sims and like their life revolve around grilled cheese. And
that does sound like how I was. Yeah.
Good.
But now, even though I'm vegan, like I still always have at least like one kind of vegan cheese in the fridge. Like,
what's your favourite vegan cheese then?
Probably the Via Life Greek style.
Oh, I love that one.
Like white, it's kind of like crumbly and like, it's good.
Yeah.
But then anyway, I basically went to a veg fest in Brighton. I think it was like October 2020, maybe. Uh-huh. No, wait, I can't maths. Wow.
No one says 2020. They say 2020. That sounded so like vulgar.
Yeah, sorry. Gross. No, so basically this Veganuary, I would have been vegan for 7 years. So that was totally wrong anyway. So
yeah, when you were saying 2020, I'm like, I knew you before the pandemic and you were always vegan.
Yeah, sorry, I'm clearly terrible at maths today.
So like 2015.
It's the 2 slaps of wine I've had. You get me drunk. I basically went to a veg fest in the October, the year before I became vegan, and I met the Veganuary team. And it was back when they'd either been running for like a year or two, like they were babies. They literally had like a few thousand followers on Instagram. And they were like, yeah, Veganuary. And I was like, well, I'm not actually vegan. They were like, look, it's nearly January, like you should try it. And I kind of was like, yeah, whatever. Like I can't give up cheese. And like I've had a few vegan friends, not loads, not as many as I do now, of course. And they'd always be like, oh, come on, like it's just cheese that you have. Like it's fine. Like I didn't like eggs. I never really had milk because I didn't like the taste of it. Eggs have always freaked me out, but I still like eat cake, so it was still but then I decided literally like 2 days before New Year's Eve, I was like, oh, I'm going to do Veganuary. Mum was like, okay. Yay. And I lived with her at the time and she was a bit like, oh, right, okay. And I think I was literally just about to move to London as well. But it meant that on New Year's Eve, I like ate all of these like fried vegan, non-vegan, cheesy things that were in the freezer. And then I was really, really unwell. So I just didn't even want to think about cheese. So that was good.
That actually sounds like a really good tactic.
Yeah.
Like eat so much cheese that you'll be sick of it for a whole month and see how it goes. Oh, wow. So you're a Veganuary baby.
Yeah. And then I've literally stayed vegan since. But there's been a few times where like I've unintentionally messed up like dark chocolate digestives. Being like, oh, it's dark chocolate, it's digestive, it's fine. And then it's like, no, it's got milk in it. So things like that where I've kind of gone like, oh, no, but it'll be fine. And I've just not checked. And then it wasn't fine. And at the time, because I guess it was quite early on in my like vegan transition, it was all right. But now I'm really aware, like if there's ever I accidentally have something that's got dairy in it, I know about it.
Okay, yeah. I had Helena on recently, Helena Rosecope, and she accidentally ate like a whole jar of mayo, like over the course of like a month or two. She thought it was vegan mayo. It wasn't. It was the Hellmann's one, and I was like, oh my god.
God, it's so like gloopy and like, oh bless her, what a babe.
Yeah.
But like those things happen, and we're human. Like that's absolutely fine. Like I can't deal with the militant, which I know I have been partial to in the past, but I can't deal with that. Like it has to be all or nothing, because I think it's completely like inaccessible way for people, and it makes it really scary and it makes it really intimidating. It makes it really triggering for people that struggle with disordered eating. So it's kind of like, just be welcoming. But then at the same time, if someone goes, I'm a vegan, but I love a steak at the weekend, I'm like, well, you're not really vegan.
That's not vegan.
Yeah.
But, like at least
but
you're
mostly plant-based, so that's good.
So you used to be a militant vegan, did you say?
I was never like heavy militant, but I definitely went through a phase of being like, it needs to be all or nothing, judging my mum a bit and being like, Mum, you can just get the other milk, you don't need that one. And she'd be like, well, I like the other one in my coffee. And I was like,
okay.
Yeah. So not in the way I guess the weed think of the militant vegans now. Not to that extreme, but there's like conversation I remember having that I was definitely like just being a bit of a pain in the ass. And now I'm like, Did I need to be like that? Probably not. But I think I had an element of self-righteousness initially because I was like, well, I never thought I could be vegan and look at me doing the thing. So why can't everyone else? Before I was kind of like, oh, wait, I need to be an adult about this. That's not how life works.
Yeah.
And not everyone can and it's not possible, kind of be a bit like soft. It doesn't have to be like all or nothing.
Yeah, I was definitely a brat of a vegan in my first year. But I think everyone is. It feels like the wool's been taken off from your eyes. What is that phrase?
Yeah, the wool.
Yeah,
is it?
I know it doesn't feel very vegan. No wonder I don't know the phrase, the wool and all that. But
that's funny. I always, when I'm saying, like, oh, you're a good egg to people there, and I'm like, no, not an egg, a bean. You're a good bean, and they're like, all right, and I'm like, sorry, I'm vegan.
Yeah, I remember just being a brat and like just talking to people and being like, you do realise that's an animal you're eating, and like no one needs to hear that. No one's going to go vegan because you've been an arsehole.
Right. And the thing is as well, like I don't care if I sit at a table with a group of people and some of them are eating meat. I don't mind. That's literally life. I can't, unless I go to a vegan or veggie restaurant, that's always going to happen. But I do hate it and find it annoying. People are like, oh, look at my burger. And I'm like, if I was flapping something in your face that you didn't like, you would not enjoy that. So like, why that's literally a dead animal. I have no interest in that.
Yeah.
And like, I have a cat, but I feed him meat and I don't enjoy it. But he's also a little creature that I can't explain. You need to eat vegan. Also, cats are obligate carnivores, so you've got to feed them meat. There's moments when I can't tell my cat I'm not going to give him wet food that he loves, but a human being I can be like, stop being a pain in the bum. You don't need to like flap your bap in my face.
But that is it. I feel like some people can be so rude, and I think a lot of people who are doing veganuary, maybe trying vegan for the first time, you are very aware of meat. Like there's a reason we're not as militant about it as we get older or more into our vegan lives, is because you don't really see it as much, or you don't really clock it as much. You just kind of get used to it, whereas for the first month or so you're very aware every time someone's eating meat and you're like, how are you not seeing what I'm seeing? And
I think maybe
like
it was probably harder for people that went like from eating meat to not eating meat like into being vegan. And like because I've literally never eaten meat, like people go, oh, don't you miss bacon? I'm like, well, I've never had bacon, so how can I miss it?
Overrated as well. Someone who has had bacon.
And they're like, oh, isn't the smell amazing? I'm like, not really. No. Like I don't smell it and go, oh, I want a bit of that, because that's just like sizzling meat. But then when there's vegan bacon there and someone goes, oh, you're going to try that? I'm like, yeah, I'll try it, because it's another kind of thing that I can eat. So I'm going to give it a go. Like I've tried loads of vegan fish, but they really freak me out. And because I find it too fishy.
I've struggled to find a very good vegan fish. I really want a good vegan tuna steak, and I'm just waiting. But everyone just keeps bringing out these burgers.
But I don't know if any of these fake meats taste like the meat. So that's the other thing, is I get some people like, I don't know why you want the thing if you never liked the thing. And I'm like, well, it's something else to eat. And they're like, well, does it even taste like it? I'm like, well, I've got no idea. I just eat it because I think it tastes good. Like, I like it. Like I've always got some Linda McCartney sausages in my freezer. The red onion and
best one.
Oh God, so good. And when you do like a co-op delivery order, I'm like, days when you can't leave the house, those days, and you're like, God damn, I just really need something, and then they send you the ones that aren't the red onion ones. Oh, that's happened to me so many times. It's made me really sad.
I can deal with the regular ones, but they've got like a chorizo one as well, haven't they?
Yeah, I don't like that one.
Yeah, I don't like that would upset me. I can handle the regulars.
Actually, chorizo is another thing that I've tried a few times, the vegan versions, and I've not liked it because it tastes too much like the meat smells.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of like,
spice. It's kind of spicy.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, I love spice.
Okay.
Oh, spicy the better. Well, my eyes and nose to be streaming. I mean, I'll be really upset about it for a little while after, but then I'll be like, God, that was a great meal.
Okay, and then moving on. So,
Sorry,
no, it's okay. So veganism. Have there ever been points where you felt kind of like excluded from it?
Yes, absolutely.
Sad. I feel like I'm like, so to drop the tone.
Let's lower the tone and talk about trauma. No, no trauma. But no, absolutely. Like I've always been like a curvy person. I mean, when I was younger and veggie, I actually wasn't as big as I thought I was. Not that would have been a bad thing if I was, but when you look back and you're like, God, I was a tiny little thing. And family influences or friends kind of, and the things that you think, especially we grew up in like the 90s and 2000s, like with all of those people on the magazine covers. So no wonder, since I've become vegan, I've actually put on weight. Not because I have been gorging necessarily in that sense, but I think I just really enjoy food. Like I like food. I like eating. Food is good. Yeah. And there's so much amazing vegan food. I'm from Brighton, where the vegan scene is amazing. I live in London. I've lived in Camden for 5 years, where there's amazing vegan food.
Oh, and that was the era where Camden was the vegan
amazing
spot.
Like the 2 years before the pandemic. And I lived there during the pandemic as well, so I was still getting like what the pitta was down the road and could order that, and like so many, like Mildred's up there, like there was so sorry, I'm saying 2 of the easiest ones, but there was so much good vegan food around there that I just have allowed myself to enjoy it. And I think there's obviously so much difficulty for people with allowing themselves to enjoy food, with all the pressures from everywhere, society, and the celebs that do all this, that and the other. And I definitely have found that being a plus size vegan, I get that like, oh, so I thought veganism was a diet, like. And when I tell people I'm vegan, they say, oh, really? Like, and they're obviously shocked. And not everyone says, oh, what, because you're fat? That's weird. But, you know, sometimes you can see the cogs turning and they're thinking, that's really odd. How can she be vegan? But it's because there's that notion that vegans only eat
salad.
Like, seriously, what? Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love rocket and I will eat it out of the bag. Like, I love that stuff. So
of course, you like the spicy salad.
Yeah, the spicy. Of course. And I absolutely love a salad. Like, I regularly make a massive salad with, half a pack of that microwave rice in there mixed in as balsamic. I love that. But then there's so many burgers, there's so many of these other things, and also love vegan mac and cheese. I mean, I'm still a cheese fiend, but just vegan now. But there was definitely a lot of interesting kind of responses and like, oh, wow, really? You're vegan? When I first told people that, especially before, I feel like maybe before the pandemic and before people, not that everyone is gentler now, but people feel like a lot more people are gentler on bodies. Okay. Like I think there's still a lot of fat phobia. I'm not saying that's gone, and obviously I experience it very differently to other people from different backgrounds or other people that are heavier than I am. It's very interesting, like so many of the influencers that I see that have big followings and content creators and chefs, none of them are big in any way, I think the only one is Zachary Bird. That guy in America, Australia.
Australia.
My bad. Love him, and he's when I only found him maybe last year or the start of this year, and started following him.
I think he's a TikTok baby, is he not?
Yeah, and I love it because not only is he queer and fabulous and very unashamedly himself in his sexuality, he's also, listen, this is my body, I'm gonna dance around and do my thing, and I absolutely love it. I literally on the way here I was thinking, are there any others that I can think of that are above a size 12? If we're
Fat gay vegan used to be quite an icon.
Of course, but he doesn't do it anymore. He's got all his lucrative other things going on. He doesn't need to. We was living in Mexico for a while. He was he was fat gay vegan.
Iconic.
Amazing. But I think when I started doing vegan content, it was kind of as he was not going out, not that he's not at all a negative way, but posting less and kind of clearly phasing out from a personal point of view. And I've met him very briefly a few times and always been I love what you do, thank you. And he was actually one of the first vegans I followed way back when.
Yeah, because I feel like when social media was starting, there were only I think he was one of the first social media vegans I knew of, and that was a good place to start.
Absolutely.
But I do agree with you, it's so few and far between.
And then I also feel there's difficulty in terms of a brand campaign way, because a lot of vegan brands, they want the vegan option to look like the healthy option as well, because they want that to encourage people to try the vegan option. You can kind of see it in the marketing and how they're making the food. It's not like it's the treat meals. It's try this instead. It's actually less fat or less, less of the bad things.
Yeah, it's literally every range is called plant something. You know what I mean? They're throwing plant in there. They're not using vegan or anything. They're trying to just be you don't have to eat meat, which is high in cholesterol. You can eat a plant. And then it's
and I get it for the accessibility, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I'm that's great because it makes it seem less vegan. People go, let's try your vegan chips. It's they're normal chips, babes.
Yeah,
they're just let's try your vegan blah blah, and it's they're a normal thing. And I understand saying plant-based instead of vegan because it takes away some of that unnecessary vitriol. Is that the right word?
Oh, I don't know. But
yeah, the unnecessary sass and the knee-jerk reaction, because I used to be like that.
Yeah.
When I was veggie, I was oh, vegan's God, it's such a pain in the ass. And here I am.
And that was you being a Brighton girly as well.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But not in a picking a fight way. But I'd kind of think those things and roll my eyes. I actually really remember the first time that a friend of mine told me that vegans didn't eat honey. And we were at her house having some wine, and I found it really funny. I was I literally through tears was because of the bees. And she was yeah, babe.
And you're they're so ridiculous.
Yeah, and I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. And then now look at me, people are oh, you're unwell. Here, have some lemon honey. I'm nope, no honey. And they're but the bees like it. I'm no, they're in a factory and there's all these horrible videos. I'll send you them. And they're nope, don't want to see it.
I still find the bee one a bit tricky, but I don't eat honey, but I know sometimes you hear arguments and you're if it were done well and ethically, and if I had the trust in our food systems, fine.
Well, some people go, can I be vegan apart from the fact I've got chickens in my garden? And I'm if you want to eat only vegan and then you've got chickens that you nurture and care for, I'm not going to tell you can't do that. Yeah. But you're not vegan if you're eating eggs.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's that difficult thing.
Yeah.
But God, sorry, I really go down rabbit holes, don't I?
No, it's cool. That's the fun part about this.
But the other thing I was going to say in terms of feeling, you said about feeling left out or not so welcome. And then I started talking about brand campaigns. I do find that tricky, and it's not in a you should book me way, but I wish that there was more diversity. Not only the slim mostly women. Obviously, we've got all of that group of vegan guys doing amazing stuff. The plant boys, although funnily enough, not vegan boys, plant boys. You know what I mean? It is that same thing you're just saying. Love them, by the way. That wasn't in a shady way. It's interesting and it's good that there are variations of people being included in campaigns, but I think there's still so much like ingrained fat phobia and oh no, I don't want to book a vegan. And I've had conversations actually with a few people like in the influence marketing industry, and they're like, yeah, they do vegan options, but I think because you're plus size, they don't want to be advertising their food and showing that because, you know, fat equals unhealthy. Not that it does, but that's it's so ingrained still. And I know earlier I said that maybe there's a bit more softness around like self-image and body love, but obviously there is still tons and tons of fat phobia, so much so that I can't even, you know, I don't encounter so much of it because I think, although I'm clearly fat, I still in a way present, I don't know, people always like, you dress so well for your size, I wouldn't even know. And I'm like, it's kind of like a weird thing to say, but like, okay, you're saying I'm stylish, I'm gonna let you have that. I just wish there was more options of curvy, fat, plus size vegans to choose from, but the point is there's not. So then when I say that, like, oh, I wish you had someone that was like above a size 12, it's like, oh, well, who are they going to book? Like, because you want to be on it. Well, yeah,
Can you name anyone else?
True.
Tell me more.
Yeah, and I mean, and actually, Yasmin Johar is probably the only other, like, and you know, she calls herself plus size, I think, but
no, she's mid-size.
She's mid-size, yeah, and obviously she's a bloody fabulous human. She's like one of my favourite people. But like apart from her and Zach, we're not on first name terms, but I'm going to call him Zach. They're the only ones that I can think of that actively do the content and like work with brands. I just wish there was more of us to choose from.
That's part of the barrier, isn't it? Because to be able to, especially these days, to be able to put out the amount of content you need to be a successful influencer. The thing is that for influencers to be able to create content, often we rely on the brands, and if brands aren't funding people that are larger, then you're not going to get that many plus size influencers, and that's the shitty end of it.
Yeah, it's so tricky because I don't want to feel like I'm being a brat.
No, you're not.
By kind of calling out brands, and I've done it before, even like clothing brands when they've had events and they've literally invited like one plus size person, but they're best friends with the like skinny, really, really popular, high following girl, or like stuff like that. Like I've seen this, I can't even think of the individual person, but things like that over the years. And then I've had arguments with people that I didn't know worked in the influence marketing team that followed me, and they're like, I can't believe you said that, la la la, we actually invite people that didn't come. And I get that too, because I've worked from that side of influence marketing, and I've been called out before, like, wow, you did this meet up with an artist when I used to work in music, how come there was nobody of X there? And I was like, you're right, there wasn't, but they were invited, but they just weren't able to come. And I do totally get that.
And that's kind of the cycle again. It's like they often can't come because they're still doing a full-time job because they don't have the money from the brands to do it. And it's a
vicious circle, and it's just so tricky to maneuver. And, you know, I think it's great. Like, I literally did a campaign this year because of you saying and you said about me and Yasmin, and we both did this campaign, and it was amazing because they even said in that email like, oh, Nicole recommended you and we really want to work with you. No, but it was so nice because it takes people doing that who are the ones getting booked, and that's the only way that the other people that go unnoticed under the radar are going to get booked. Because, and also I do understand that, you know, if someone's booking a campaign with a vegan brand, they might look at something 6 months ago, a competitor brand. That's what I used to do, competitor artists, and I'd look at what other influencers have worked with them and like, do they do the kind of thing that we want? So I totally understand that when you're doing like manual, like human-led outreach and like research. I do understand it, but I'm also like, God damn, it's the end of 2022, like, can we see past that? And it's the same with drinks actually as well. Like I did that I started that whole series, is that drink vegan? Is this drink vegan? But I've not done anything of it in a while because I kept reaching out to brands and even to send me like a PR bottle of something. And I was ghosted so much. And then I'd see other people with like half my following, not that my following's even that big in any way, but half my following, but one of like the popular girlies getting gifted like a hamper and stuff. And I'd be like, that's such a shame. Like, why would you not send me one for me to like put, because you're a vegan brand and I want like accidentally vegan, I want to include it.
That's horrible. That's so rude.
But I get so much of that. I get ignored so much. And then I'm like, is it because I don't have a niche? I'm like a vegan lifestyle person. I haven't like niche down to one thing. Is it because I'm fat? Is it because I'm queer? Is it because I'm clearly like alternative and not afraid to like speak my mind? Not that they go hand in hand, but you know, I'm also very like liberal lefty. Like, is that why? And I'm always like, God, what are all these reasons why? And I've
and it's horrible that you even are having to reflect that, because I follow you. I don't find you offensive at all.
Like, no, and I don't pick fights. But also, if there's something that I'm like, no, this is really important to talk about, then like I can go off on one. You know,
why not?
And even if it's not directly affecting me, and I've had people be like, why do you care about this? It doesn't even affect you. And I'm like, but is that not the reason why that we should be shouting louder? The people that it doesn't directly affect should be going, no, actually, that's not cool, because clearly the people it does affect, nobody's listening to.
Yeah. And I think this is one of the best arguments for like influencers having a space, especially in something like the vegan community. I feel like it's something that's really, it's the whole reason I started influencing is because I could see it growing in London and I could see that influencers seem to have an influence on it. And it's important for people, you know, a lot of people do see vegans on Instagram. It's a lot of where they get their whole knowledge about veganism from, on TikTok as well. And it's important it's a diverse group and that everyone feels welcome. And it's also important to see influencers challenging things because we can be change makers.
Absolutely. Oh my God, there's so many amazing things that people have done. I'm actually cannot remember the name of the woman, but the one who got upskirting banned.
Oh yeah.
I've forgotten her name, but she's fantastic. I follow her. She actually makes change. There's so many that are genuine change makers. And that's actually something I think Claire Little London Vegan is great at, is that when she's working with a restaurant, obviously she's one of, if not the biggest.
I'd say she's the biggest London
vegan food. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's really good. She's another one. She's kind of done those lists of like, oh, here's some people that you should follow, especially back when, I think it was during the height of BLM actually, and she was going, oh, like here are some other people as well that like are from various different like diverse representation to follow, and I'm being in that list, and I was like, that's really sweet you included me. Obviously not at all because I'm anything other than white as hell because I'm plus size and also queer.
And like we've already established, there isn't much plus size representation in the vegan community.
I've just realised what I was going to say. Sorry, wow, my brain. No, she's great at being a change maker and feeding back to restaurants and saying this isn't good, or like this could be better if you did this, and she'll kind of be very open
and
with her audience about that
to improve it and then share it with us.
Exactly, which I think is really nice because it kind of makes you respect her more. Not that I didn't respect her before, but even more I'm like, God, I don't know, that's good. Like I'm glad you're using like your following for good, and it's not just like all dollar signs in your eyes.
Yeah, it's not just dollar signs.
Money. It's like actually making the community better.
Yes. 100%. This is also why I'll recommend people for campaigns. I'm like, I believe like the money you get funded from the brands does help you like have the agency to be an influencer and like lead in the content you want to do,
or not have to work full time, or not have to get another job to do XYZ. And
so I always recommend people that I feel like should be representing the community a bit better, and I'm like, that's basically it, because I look at like brand campaigns sometimes and I get a bit fed up. I'm like, these are the people you're funding.
Yeah.
Like they're so unoriginal, but they're just fucking hot. Like what is that?
But then some of them I do understand though, from the influencer marketing side. I have had those conversations, and I've had the similar people go to me, oh, but why that? And then there's a method to the madness, as the phrase is.
We're in an advertising space, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's the beast we're having to deal with, and we still have like such amazing jobs.
Oh, absolutely. Like we're so lucky that we're able to do this full time, just despite the tumultuous times or whatever. You know, I've not had the most successful end of 2022, but I'm still been grinding and still staying on it, because I think there is space for me, but it's like trying to get in there and just make the space a bit bigger, just so that my big bum can fit in it.
I also would love to segue into eco brands and sustainable brands, and I guess probably mostly on the fashion side of things. How do you feel like the plus size conversation is happening out there, especially with like slow fashion? I feel like is the thing that I find a bit of a beast, because personally from my end, when I'm influencing people to like go to charity shops more, shop second hand more, the standard I'd hold for someone who's like my size or smaller versus what I'd hold for someone mid-size and larger is just like
very different.
Yeah, so different. Like, how do you feel like brands just overlook you, or what is?
I think there's a lot of pressure if you're posting anything fashion related, that you, especially within veganism, because they go kind of hand in hand with eco and sustainability, that you need to be making the right choice all the time. And as I said earlier, like not everyone's perfect. Like if I do believe that doing your best is good. Obviously, it's not the best. And I definitely don't have the knowledge or the insight as much as somebody like Aja Barber does, talking about sustainability and eco fashion. But it definitely is harder, because there's less options on the kind of more sustainable brand side in fashion. And then when there are options, sometimes the brands charge more for the plus size options because more fabric. Or they make less, so they go quicker, and then it has to be custom, so it takes longer, which are things that I completely understand from like a small business point of view, which most of them are small businesses. But then it also like makes you feel like you're a pain in the bum. It's a chore.
And you're not a priority customer at the end of the day. That's
they don't want to market to you, you know, and that's something actually I think that kind of parallels quite well with festival brands, is that a lot of them, it feels like they don't want people above a size 12 or 14 at a push, you know, if they're the right kind of curvy, again, bunny ears, to wear their stuff, because they don't want those bodies to be seen in their clothes. And there's some brands that are doing it amazingly, like Burnt Soul clothing are one of my favourites for stuff like that, because you can literally customise like a whole catsuit. Yeah, they have some that's stocked and you can just buy, and they always seem to have the sizes as far as I'm aware. I've never looked or seen anyone struggle with sizing, and I've got some friends that do festival kind of stuff that are curvier gals, but they also do this thing where you can design your own and design the size, and it's the same weight time as everyone, and it doesn't cost more because of the size. It costs more if you want to add more other things, and I think that's a really good way to be. And another brand that I love that a small brand that do kind of mostly made to order or some in-house stuff is LOM Fashion, who I modelled for last summer.
Oh, I remember you doing that.
Yeah, and
it was like great
me.
Shots you got.
They were so good, and it was me and this girl, this other girl who's a lot smaller and slimmer, size 8. She's actually like a model, and like, you know, had all the face and stuff. And then there's me like smiling away, like really grinning, and like we were doing like slow-mo walking, and there's I didn't have a bra on one, and my boob just like bouncing. It was great. It was like, I feel like my Baywatch festival moment. It was fantastic. But I felt so honoured to even be asked to be part of that. And it was so great that they literally wanted to showcase that their clothes could be worn by a range of sizes.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not at the higher end of plus size, so there's still so much work to be done. So I wouldn't want to like dominate the conversation, because there's so many people doing like amazing stuff. Stephanie Oboa actually is another one. Not that Aja or Stephanie are vegan, but they're great ones to follow for fashion stuff. And Stephanie talks a lot about plus size stuff, but less so, I guess, in an eco-sustainable way, but more in a like just options way. Like, why have we got cold shoulder things covered in butterflies? That is not what plus size people want.
It's kind of that, and it's also like whenever I'm seeing small businesses, I understand that some might only be able to do like 4, 6 sizes, whatever, but like we're not like the smallest country going, you know. There are a lot of people who are plus size, so why is it always starting from like a size 6 or a size 8 and then getting larger? Like, why doesn't anyone ever start from like a size like even like 14 and get larger?
Which is the nation average, right? I think 14 to 16 is the nation average. Or it was the last time I read something somewhere.
Yeah. I know that feeling. But yeah, it just baffles me that we always like their excuse is always, we only have this many sizes, and I'm like,
because we haven't seen the demand. You don't have the demand because people don't think they can buy from you.
Yeah.
They don't look to buy your stuff because you've never done, you know?
Yeah.
And then when they work with plus size, or when they work with launching a plus size range, they hire straight size models to model it.
Oh God.
There's been a few of that. And it's just like, how will the plus size audience see you? Because they follow plus size creators, right? Because they want to see how they style things, what fashion they buy. So, yeah, it's silly. Some marketing choices are very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope it is something that we manage to improve on, because it is just so frustrating to see. And it feels like a double-edged sword, because on the one hand I do sympathise with the small brands not being able to offer so much, but it is always like, why do you always start at such a small size? I just don't.
It's because it's the norm, isn't it? That's just how it is. That's how it's always been. So why would anyone change it? And
surely
it's even like patterns online. Like,
there are more customers. If even like instead of starting at a size 6, you start at a size 10 and go up. Like there will be more customers there. I just don't understand. But
I think it all goes into like the fashion industry, doesn't it? And like what they peddle as the thing and how we should look. You know, every now and again something does the rounds and it's like, oh, this model wanted to do this, but they couldn't because they were told they were too big. And it's this like really, really slim model, and it's just so sad.
Yeah, I do feel like you touched on it earlier, like we grew up in the age of magazines just talking about weight loss like crazy, and then Instagram came along and we could kind of like choose our media and found out people weren't choosing that. Yeah, people weren't choosing to hear about women being shamed for losing weight, for gaining weight, for like having their issue.
Although that being said, there
like,
definitely
published.
is still a cesspit side of Instagram. Every now and again, in my like suggested feed, I'm like, what is that? And I click it, and I'm like, oh my god, why did Instagram think that I want to see that?
Oh,
every now and again, yeah. And I think it's because sometimes the self-love, body positivity is hijacked by slim girls pretending that they've got rolls. You know, the bending over and the squeezing their rolls thing. Which great, love your body, but why are you making yourself look?
No, that upsets me so much. I feel like that is like I'm definitely not even mid-sized, but it bothers me so much when I see slim girls, especially if they're smaller than me, like trying to
capitalize off that.
Yeah, they're capitalizing off
some of the like similar hashtags, you know, the like self-love and body confidence and body positivity, fat liberation, and it's like, wow, you're really missing the mark there.
Yeah,
missing the point. Like it's just completely.
It's so bad. It's because I would never dream about doing that. I'm like a size 12, I'd guess. And then like I would never dream of rolling over and just being
But the
like...
thing is, what I love about you is you like wear things and you clearly have so much, not confidence in your body because that makes it seem like you shouldn't, but you're just like, here I am, this is my body, this is what I look like, and you're just doing your thing, and you've got your dancing videos and you've got your this, that and the other, and it's but it's so nice because it's not like it's nothing. It's not a topic of your mentality or your content. You just like, this is me and I exist and I want to wear this because I feel like I look nice, or do you prefer this or this on me? And it's never in a like negative. It never seems like it's from a negative like needing reinforcement or support way. Not that again there's a problem with that, but it's very nice. I feel like you've always got a very happy-go-lucky kind of vibe to your content, and I
feel like it's quite like sometimes obviously a lot of it's natural, but sometimes it is a bit conscious. Like the other day I had a really cute photo of me at my dance show and I looked a bit fat and I was like, okay, cool, I still look sexy, I still look great, like that's
I think
cool.
there's that thing is it's trying to get past the like you feel like you look fatter than you maybe
well, not
are
even
usually.
that. I'm just like, it doesn't fucking
but it doesn't matter
if I look fat.
But then because people say to me, like, I have conversations quite often with people and I kind of go, oh, like, I know I'm fat, but they're like, you're not fat. And I'm like, no, I am fat. I know that I'm fat. Like I'm not pretending that I'm not. I know that I am, but I'm fat and I'm cute. I'm fat and I can be sexy. I'm fat and so many other things. That's not what describes me. Fact is a fact. Fact is a fact. Like I have fat, I am fat, and I am plus size. I don't need someone to go like, oh no, don't say that, darling, you're beautiful. I'm like, true, but
I'm also fat, and fat is beautiful.
And there's nothing wrong with being it. And it's so funny. I feel like I'm like regurgitating past conversations I've had, specifically with my mum, who I adore. My mum, we've got a great relationship, particularly these days, like as I've kind of got older and we've like figured out who we are, not living together, because I lived with her until I was like my kind of like 24.
Oh my god!
But it was like a fairly big like townhouse that my grandma had as a bread and breakfast. Lived with my grandma as well for most of that, so it was like 3 generations in one house, and we had lodges and stuff.
Adorable.
So it was like a very busy house of like foreign exchange students and stuff. It was really lovely, and it was just like in the centre of Brighton, and that makes it sound like it was some kind of mansion, but it really wasn't. It was really near the station at 7 Dials. I had a lot of freedom, so I was like, why would I move out when it's quite nice here and I can go to uni and I can do all the things that I want to do and I don't have to like stress about the loan or the grant or whatever. But anyway, in recent years there's been conversations with my mum and I know that she does find it difficult that I'm fat. And we've had a lot of things. I'm like, I totally understand why you're worried, but I don't think you need to worry, because the things you think that are bad about that, like none of those things like hold me back. Like I go to festivals, I camp, like I don't like camping, but I go to festivals and I do those things. And the things that, like, I've got a dodgy ankle at the moment because I fell over on a dodgy like piece of pavement back at Jubilee weekend. That's not because I'm fat. No. I fell over on a bad piece of pavement and then I basically danced in fields all summer. Like, so it's still bad. Do you know what I mean? It's not because I'm fat. So it's kind of, oh, I'm just worried about your health. And there's so much that, oh, I'm just worried about your health. And I've had that from strangers on the internet before. I'm like, are you? Who are you?
Yeah.
Are we friends? Why are you worried about my health? You know nothing about me.
How simple is your life that you have to spend your time worrying about me?
Yeah.
What is that?
And even if it was someone close to me and they're worried about my health, I think it's just so invasive. Like, you wouldn't go up to somebody, like, you just don't know what's going on people's insides. And some of the people that I think I've had friends over the years, I know people might look at and be like, oh god, they're so healthy, literally ate like crap, and or like would literally like drink a whole litre of vodka before we even went out and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to see their insides.
No.
And I'm like, well, at least mine ain't got anything dead inside it, you know?
Well, it's just like, why do people feel like they can judge about how healthy you are by your size?
Or by how you look.
It's so ridiculous and it's so outdated.
And so much of it is genes and hormones and XYZ, and they're not things that, sometimes weight can be a factor, but that is not the answer to everything. Like, I remember I went to the doctor, I went to A&E actually after I had COVID in March 2020. I went back in May 2020 because I'd called 111 and had like a weird feeling in my like lung area. I don't know what it was. They were like, look, go to A&E because it could be something bad, and you did have COVID, and I was really, really sick from COVID, like wiped me out. I don't have any other health issues. I don't have asthma, or I'm not any like long-term medication for anything apart from on and off on my spots. But
your skin is looking great right now, by the way.
Do you know what? I've got a thick layer of makeup on. It's very red.
No. I can see the texture and everything. It looks very good.
That's good. I've got a really big one on my chin that I was going to wear a spot sticker for, and I thought, do you know what? A big old Hello Kitty or star on my chin might have been a bit excessive. So I brought my thick foundation in my bag so I can like top it off if I need to. But when I went to A&E, I had the whole like MRI thing. Is that the MRI when they like inject a thing into your blood and then it like they scan your body?
I do not know.
It's really bizarre. I've never had it before. I was laying there on this machine. No, a CT scan. I don't know. Someone's going to know it. And it feels really weird. You feel all like warm and this whole thing goes over you.
God.
Bizarre. But you're in this big machine. Anyway, got there, and at the end, this doctor came in and he was really quite fat. And he kind of like Santa without the beard. And I was like, great. He's fat. He's not going to be like, oh, it's because you're fat. Oh my God. And we sat there chatting. He was like, you see this bit here, you see this bit here. And then he was like, you should get back down to how you were when you were 18 or 19. And I was like, I am in my early 30s. You have no idea of my history with eating or if I've ever had disordered eating problems. I haven't. But he had no idea of any of that. And I was like, imagine if you said that to somebody that could have been really easily triggered and they could have you could have made them spiral. And I was like, that's not what I've come here for. Can we talk about this? And the bottom line is they didn't know what it was. And they were like, look, if it doesn't get better in a few weeks, just like take it easy and don't exert yourself, because it was something in my lung, But my lung capacity has definitely gone down since I had the COVID. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Sorry to talk about that.
That's okay.
But yeah, it's just so interesting that even health professionals that you think might not be so judgy of it, and then like, oh no, but you're fat, so that's the cause of the problem. It's like, my God, is it really?
Yeah. I think they're just like, oh, easy job, she's fat. We can just don't have to do anything. Whatever it is, there's an answer.
So silly. And it's so frustrating as well, because I do feel like, I guess almost going back to like the whole discussion of brand campaigns and being booked for stuff, I just feel like people see their prejudices. And even they say like, I don't see prejudice, like I don't see, I guess that's comparable. I don't see colour. You do see it. Like people do look at me and they go, oh, she's fat. Yeah. And that's fine. But then it's just going like, oh, okay, get that thought in my head. Why does that matter?
Yeah.
You know, clearly I don't dress or present myself like I want to blend into the background with my colourful hair and tattoos and la. Clearly I like to be this big and colourful person, and that's fine. And I'm obviously not going to blend in the background or be like some of the more kind of beige and safe creators. And that's fine. But I just wish that there was a bit more like, oh yeah, we can like inject a bit of colour in there. That'd be great. Like, let's have someone that's a bit like louder and stuff, you know. And I never say things that are like, I feel like could come back to haunt me.
Yeah, you know, you're also aware of it from that end.
Yeah.
Like, you know how to.
And even back when I was like a little brat on my Facebook memories, bloody hell, some of the memories come up sometimes, and they're like 3 Facebook albums I used to make from one night out.
Oh dear Lord.
And the face I used to pull. But I just every now and again I am like, okay, do I need to like look back on things? But I've never had anything.
I mean, I deleted my Twitter just in case. I think I was really rude about like Cheryl Cole and the like Olympics opening ceremony, and I think no, actually I remember I also
she's exposing herself here. Right? Here's the drama.
I also like deleted my Tumblr because I remember I was so mad when Demi Lovato had like all of her issues and they cancelled her Disney show because I loved that show, and I think I was just so insensitive about it.
Bless you.
I was just like...
You didn't know any better. You were
but I want to be on Strictly one day, so this needs to be out of the internet.
Right, okay.
And I've admitted it here,
Strictly, if you're listening,
I regret it.
Delete it.
Yeah.
This didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what? I'm really sorry for everything Demi Lovato's been through.
Oh, I love them. They're so nice. Are they?
I think she's back to she.
Okay. Fabulous musician. Anyway, the new album, great. There's a song called Substance that is literally like old school pop punk, and it is so good. I've listened to it since it's come out literally like 4 times a day at least.
I'll listen to this.
It's on my Badass Babes playlist. That's basically just like loads of songs, mostly from TikTok, that I listen to like every day.
Oh, I love
Starts with Baddest of them all. She's the baddest of them all. Do. You know it.
You know I only listen to Taylor Swift.
No, you would absolutely know it though. It was viral everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send it. And the Yes Mum by Tessa Violet, the one with the little like yellow bob, and she did the thing where she was like falling down mirrors.
Bless you. You think I know a lot more about music than I do.
No, it was on TikTok. It was like mega viral. I mean, maybe that's...
Even on TikTok, sadly, I'm stuck on Swift Talk. It's horrible.
Oh, yeah, no,
I keep trying to get out and I'm just stuck in there.
I'm stuck on Matt Healy Talk, which makes me mad because I don't like that man.
It's 1975,
Matt Healy,
right?
if you're listening.
That's the 1975. Yeah, I've recently gone down... Because do you know shit that you should care about? Or yeah. So they're big Matt Healy fans, and now...
They're big Harry Styles fans, aren't they?
Yeah, do you not like Harry?
No, I like Harry.
Cool. But yeah, I don't... like, apparently Matt Healy is just like snogging his fans, and I was like, I wish I was a fan of this guy, because... Apparently,
I love that.
Yeah, it's
you love that you maybe have a chance.
Yeah, do you remember? You may not have been a Justin Bieber fan, but he used to do the One Less Lonely Girl skit where he'd get a girl from the crowd on stage and then serenade her, and it's like the more adult version of that, Matt Healy. So I wish I was a fan.
The only thing that I can relate to comparable to that is when I went to see Rihanna, and she brought a fan on stage for S&M.
Oh.
Can you imagine? I'm pretty sure it was an S&M, and she was literally like giving them the time of their life.
Was she whipping? Chains and
No,
whips?
she wasn't whipping, but she was like grinding and stuff.
Oh.
I can't remember what tour it was, but that was great. Yeah, I was already queer then.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great time.
Oh my God. Okay, we have gone off.
We digress.
topic.
Sorry. I don't even know how we got here, but I loved it.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier you lived in Brighton. That's where you first went vegan. Have you spent many a vegan year there?
I haven't lived there since I've been vegan, like long term. I lived there for 6 months over actually October to May. Just gone. It wasn't planned, but I couldn't find anywhere to live in London. So I was like, I guess I'll move home for a bit, which was good because it meant I could save a little bit and like hung out with mum and we bonded. We had nice times and she like fell in love with my cat, which is great because she's like grandma to him. Yeah, Ludo, my little baby, who is, if you're watching on YouTube, here he is.
It's actually really accurate as well.
Isn't it?
So embarrassing when people get tattoos and it looks nothing like their cats and you're like, oh, really cute.
Yeah.
I'm really glad.
My cat. No, that's he literally looks like that.
He does.
Also done by a tattoo artist that's vegan.
Yay.
Ashley Luca, she's amazing, based in Birmingham.
You went all the way to Birmingham for it? Oh, wow.
I've been. She did all my leg tattoos as well. I travel up there every time. So I've been up there now 4 times for tattoos.
Is she a vegan tattooist or did you have to like special request it?
No, she's vegan and she's a tattooist, so all of her stuff is vegan, and she has been for years. Yeah, and I think not most tattoo stuff is vegan because that's definitely not true. But I think a lot of them now either always use vegan stuff or they
have the option.
They have the option available because they know that people want that.
Yeah, all of my tattoos are vegan, thankfully. Yeah. I'm very relieved by that.
Well, because there's in the black dye, I think at one point it was like charred bones.
Oh.
I want to say.
Yeah, I feel like there have been some sketchy things, but even like...
sketchy things and everything, though, true.
But now I'm near Fifth Dimension, which is a vegan tattoo shop in Shoreditch.
Oh, I don't know it.
Yeah, it's like right off Brick Lane, and like everything they use is vegan. Like I think it's important that the ink is wherever you are, but what if you're vegan and you care? But even like when it comes to like the ink and the pens, the razors they use, like the wax paper or whatever. Like
I love that. It's really hard, like all the things to like source all that stuff. There's so much that we don't even think about that, like, you know, like lots of toilet roll has lanolin in it from like sheep's wool. Is that the right thing? Yeah, I think it's...
Oh my God.
Pretty sure it's that. I'm
saying
that with a lot of confidence.
Which are soft, I'm guessing.
And probably, yeah. And you're just sheep wool.
That's okay. We have cheap loo rolls, so I'm sure ours is not softened with sheep's wool.
I can't even remember what you asked me. I'm so sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so basically what I wanted to know is, what do you think is better for vegans, Brighton or London?
Oh, wow. Ooh.
Yeah.
I think it's different because I feel like in Brighton you could literally walk everywhere. Like you just go into town, then you're in town, then you just wander. In London, there's just so many like different pockets of places.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough.
And I think that is what makes it harder. Like I guess if you were like Brighton versus Camden, or like I don't know, it's really hard. I just think they're different, and like obviously there's the like allure of being by the sea in Brighton in the summer. In the winter, no, because it's freezing.
Yeah, exactly. It's always a few degrees colder in Brighton. Every time I go down there, I realise this.
Yeah. Freezing.
Even in summer.
With your bare legs.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, my knees are cold now. But I don't know. I think it's so hard to compare because I get people asking me all the time, like, not in a to dismiss your question way. I'm like, oh, would you prefer Brighton or London? But the thing is, because I grew up in Brighton, I literally lived there until I was in my mid-20s. I love it, but I felt like I became like a big fish in a small pond, not in a full of myself way in any way, but just I knew people in all different areas, all different places. I'd go to the same clubs, the same pubs, the same bars. And the ones that played the music I like, I probably would walk in there, I'd probably know somebody. It just felt like it got really small. And because I didn't move there for uni and before I went to BIM and did singing and stuff, and then it was all the music scene and I just felt like it was too much. And because I grew up in the centre of Brighton, like at the Seven Dials, it wasn't even like I came from, you know, Worthing or Littlehampton or somewhere down the road. I'd literally had it on my doorstep. Like I was spoilt from the beginning in that sense. Like it was so easy to just go walk into town from my old house, you know. So I think London for me, I still feel like there's so much of it that I'm not over.
Ever explore all of London.
No,
it's like impossible.
And I nearly stayed back in Brighton at the start of this year. Like I got accepted in a flat like around the corner from where I grew up, and I was kind of excited about the prospect of like being in Brighton for summer and like kind of rediscovering my roots and like, you know, being back like near family and stuff.
Because it's still a more liberal place in London, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's often, I don't know if it is now, but it was like Green Party, like, you know, the Green majority, which was.
Although I heard a lot of people hated the Green Party because like there were always like bin strikes and stuff going on.
Oh yeah, I did. Oh yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about the
solidarity with striking workers, though. Solidarity.
I don't know. Like, I think I was there one weekend where there were bin strikes. Solidarity with them, but oh my god, that smell! It was so
especially by the sea and all the seagulls.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, there was just seagulls picking at these like piles of rubbish bags. It was that was so grim.
But apart from the stinky streets, every now and again, no, it is an amazing place, and I'm very thankful that I like lived there and grew up there. But I still don't feel like I've got everything that I like want out of London. Not that I feel like it owes me, but there's things that I'm like, no, I'm still not ready to leave.
But yeah, business-wise, I feel like it's definitely just easier to be in London now.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because I was commuting up and down for like events and stuff when I was at my mum's.
Oh, that would
And it
drive me
was so
crazy.
tricky. And
Waste
especially
so
if
much
something
money.
late, I'd have to stay at a friend's house.
Oh.
I stayed at a hotel a few times and it would be one of those ones without a window and it was like 60 quid for the night. But I'd get back there at 11 p.m. and have to be checked out by like 9 or 10. I was like, God, this is so much for like
So
a really
little.
hard bed and like a place with no windows. And, you know, not that they were bad, obviously needs must. And they provided the service that I wanted. But now they're like £110 for a night on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, maybe I won't do that.
Oh,
Thankful I had a few sofas I could stay on though over there. And I feel like if that had to happen again, there would be options. But
but it's not ideal. You feel like I don't know, you're like, I'm not that young anymore. I shouldn't be having to do it. It's real.
No, absolutely. I'm
beast,
not.
isn't it?
I'm
The
like,
cost
God,
of
I'm
living
so
in
tired.
London.
Because by the time I'm like, it's time to leave, I've got at least 2 hours until I get home. You know, and that's not even at the time that it's night buses. You know, it's still like 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then I'm not home till 1:30. Oh.
Yeah, we're not a
And I'm not an early bird like you.
No.
Oh,
okay.
God, no, I'm terrible at mornings.
No. Okay. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that.
I just wish you could give me some of that energy. If I could just inject that, that'd be great.
I get better in the winter
Shot it.
because I wake up with the sun basically. So now I'm waking up at 7 p.m. and it's like wonderful. It's luxury. Whereas
7 a.m.
summer, yeah. That's
You said
sleeping
7
in.
p.m.
Oh, 7 p.m. Whoops.
I was
But
like,
yeah,
oh, really?
yeah, luxury. Just sleeping in till 7 a.m.
I have like blackout blind and curtains, so maybe that's why.
Oh, I actually fear of getting into a relationship in case they like the curtain shut. Like the best thing
Deal
when I
breaker.
became single, I was like, yes, I can sleep with the curtains open
That's
again.
so funny.
Yeah, because
even now when it's freezing cold.
Yeah. And also, like, the problem is when you get in a relationship, like, when you, like, sleep with the curtains open, you know you're in the wrong, basically. Like, if someone prefers them closed, you've got no leg to stand on.
right.
You're just like, fine,
Because they're
you're
meant to be
right.
closed.
They are, you know. So I'm like, you're right, I'm wrong, whatever. Like,
I love how you're outing yourself so much today. So basically, future suitors.
well, I don't think they'll be listening to this.
Oh, they might. You never know.
I doubt it. But
Slide
yeah.
into her DMs. She loves it.
Oh, well, if you're on the topic, do you like to date vegans?
So I'm trying to think if I've not been in a relationship with a vegan. I've actually not had like an official relationship for quite some time. I've on and off casually, you know. But it's difficult because people always say to me like, oh, do you want to date a vegan? Like, would they have to be? And I think that I just know that I couldn't cook meat. Like if somebody wanted me, I'd be like, fine, but you got to cook it yourself. But also, like, I live with a girl now that's not vegan, and like I'm very aware of the smells in the kitchen, and like not at all in a like she makes stinky food way, but you know if she uses the oven to like make chicken or something, beef or whatever, or a steak, I feel like I can like taste it for like the whole evening and the next day. And then if I ever want to cook something in the oven myself, I just feel like I just know it's there. You know,
it must be quite tough for you because you've grown up in a vegetarian house as well.
Exactly. Again,
Yeah.
I've been spoiled. You know, and even Christmas have always been vegetarian, mostly vegan, just by accident. Nut roast. Like, I mean, I didn't like them when I was younger. What a freak! Because I love them now. They're so amazing. I get really excited about my auntie's nut roasts, and every now and again she makes them in the middle of the year and like gives me a slice or two, like take home.
How fun!
I know. So that's always been so good because I'm not the vegan at dinner. Or when I go home, I'm not like the difficult one because so much of our stuff was already like accidentally vegan.
Yeah, that's
And I was the cheese fiend. So now I'm vegan. Yeah, it's vegan cheese, but
Did they buy you like for Christmas? Did you have a vegan cheese board?
so we did buy one actually. My mum and I, we've bought one a few times, but then the one with the cranberry always gets left over because I don't like sweet and savoury together. It confuses my mouth.
Oh. No, I feel like that would be the best one. What's the best vegan cheese board?
I do like the Violife one. I don't think I've ever, other than Violife, bought a vegan cheese board from one brand. It's been like, let's buy a few cheeses.
Oh, got ya.
You know what I mean? Just like from a few random brands I like. I remember we did a vegan kind supermarket Christmas order last year, like a really big one, and we got like a vegan panettone and like all this stuff and some vegan meats and stuff. But my vegetarian family don't really like the vegan meats or the veggie meats, apart from like Linda McCartney sausages because they're kind of like inoffensive and corn. But the things like I really like squeaky bean slices and stuff in sandwiches, and like the corn ham or corn chicken. My mum doesn't like that. She's like, it's just too similar to meat. And she was brought up vegetarian, so for her that's like too far. It's really interesting, isn't it?
Shame. But
And she's like, how can you have that burger? Like, it's meant to be like juicy and like Beyond Burger. She's like, no, it's just too meaty for me. Like, she'll try it, but then she's like,
sometimes I do get a bit, I wouldn't say upset, but when I go into restaurants which serve both,
oh yeah,
you just feel a bit panicked sometimes.
oh my God,
don't
so
you?
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like,
Unless
just
it's, like,
whenever they
completely
serve you, you're
obvious.
like, it's vegan, right?
Yeah.
Vegan, right? Yeah.
And because I've literally been there when there's been people eating something that wasn't vegan, and then they're like, no, this isn't vegan, and they're like, oh no, sorry, wrong one.
Oh my God.
It's never happened to me. If it had, you'd know about it because I would have sued them. I would have been like, I've never eaten this before in my life, and now you've given it to me. Like, I feel like I would be really sick as well.
Probably. I was once at Wagamama's. This was like ages ago, back when I was at uni, and we ordered like the vegetable gyozas. It was me and my boyfriend at the time. They serve 5, right? So we cut one in the middle because I was like, I'm not giving him 3. I'm having 2.5.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, feminism.
Anyone that doesn't understand that can leave.
Exactly.
Dumped.
But basically, when I cut in the middle, I was looking at him being like, that does not look right. And then I was like, can you try that and like let me know if it's like duck or vegetables? And he tried like 1, couldn't tell, 2, couldn't tell. I'm like, you're useless. Tried the other half that one, still couldn't tell. And I'm like, do you know what, I'm just going to ask because it doesn't look right to me. I ask, and they were so apologetic, but because we'd eaten so many between the 2 of us, all him, not me, they thought I'd eaten one. And then we got the whole meal for free, and I was like, cool, I don't have the trauma, but
You really are outing yourself today. Wagamama, if you're listening, you have a free meal. She owes you 2.5 days.
I deserve that free meal for what they did. But I've actually had a few people message me this, like weirdly on Instagram, where they've been in situations where they've accidentally been served meat, and kind of like what the restaurant or whoever, like often it's takeaway, and I've had that before on takeaway where I've just like received something and I'm like, that is not vegan.
No.
But when you do get served something that's not vegan, and when you take a bite, what is adequate compensation? Like, how far should people actually be going?
Oh God, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I mean, at least a free meal. There's been times before where I'm like, is this definitely the vegan version over veggie? Or like, is that the vegan cheese or whatever? And then I'm made to feel like I'm the pain.
Yeah.
Like I had this actually at
Well, no,
Winter
sometimes
Wonderland.
I'm a bit embarrassed by myself because I've done that before as well.
But I'm just like, I went to Winter Wonderland and I was like, oh, can I get a vegan burger? And they were like, oh, do you want brioche or vegan bun? I was like, well, I want the vegan burger. So the vegan, whatever the vegan bun is, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, some people like brioche. I'm like, but is it vegan? They're like, no. I'm like, well, then that's not the vegan burger. Like, am I being... Like, is this play about me? Or is that phrase? It's like, what is happening? Am I on like candy can? What do they call it in America? Am I being punked?
Yeah.
Because that's not a ridiculous question to say. I want the vegan burger because I'm vegan.
Yeah.
Why do I want brioche? And then they were like, do you want mayo? I was like, is it vegan mayo? They're like, no. I was like, then no. Oh my God.
I've had this issue before as well, and you feel like such a like...
Feel like you're losing the plot.
Yeah, you feel like a dick. You're like, I'm vegan.
Yeah. But then I guess I do understand like some people aren't vegan, but they want the vegan option. And they're like, oh, but I'll get the brioche because why not? But like, I literally said I want the vegan burger because I'm vegan.
So weird.
So silly. And then you feel like a dick. And then I'm like, God, this poor guy. I literally just like grilled him. I was like, I want the vegan one because I'm vegan. And then I bet he went home
and
like,
you feel
God,
like that joke, don't you?
Woman was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, like how
typical vegan.
Yeah, how can you tell someone's vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you.
They'll tell you because you're serving them food, and they need to tell you they're vegan. No, or do you want to be sued? We all know what happened to Pret that time because they didn't leave their thing, and then obviously that was a really bad thing, and someone was allergic and died. But this is why people ask.
Yeah, a more light-hearted anecdote is
yeah,
that
sorry, it was a heavy one.
last year there was actually a guy that wanted the vegan the McPlant from McDonald's, right? But he wanted it with dairy cheese, like
my God,
cheese. Yeah,
I know.
And
him.
You know him?
Who is it? Go on TikTok.
It was on TikTok. Yeah,
I know him. That's Louis.
Oh.
It's your boy Louis. And then he tried to order at the drive-thru, and then he was like, "Can I just order some cheese?" And they were like, "No, because we know you're going to put it in the burger." And he was like, "But I'm." What?
Yeah, like he literally wasn't able to buy a McPlant with regular cheese in it, and then even when he tried to buy a McPlant and then a meat burger, but like hold the burger, hold the buns, I just want the cheese of it, but I'll pay full price for it. They just would not serve him it. It was
he's called It's Your Boy Louis on TikTok.
Oh my God!
I know him because he came and did some stuff when I was working in music. He came along and hung out at a few events. And now he's a musician actually as well. Does some like really funny, silly songs.
Oh, I thought he was like going around asking for
no, but he's a TikToker as well. Like, so he does like funny stuff. But yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, that video made me laugh. I messaged him. I was like, what the hell? That is ridiculous.
Yeah, it was so wild. And then I also was just like, well, I don't know. There was part of me that could just sympathise with McDonald's because like I think the manager actually came out and was like explaining it. He was like, because you could post it on social media and say you got a vegan burger and you put cheese on it. Like, because there's so much integrity, especially once it's in that box and the box says like vegan or whatever on it, and
they don't want to get sued.
Yeah, but then I'm like, just put the McPlant in a different box.
Yeah.
Like just serve it to them in a different box.
Totally forgot
and put
about
the
that,
cheese
how
in
funny.
it. Yeah. Anyway, sorry on that story. I actually think we do need to wrap up. But if you could tell the people where to find you, that would be great. And actually give us a little quick overview of the Vegal Gang.
Just about to say, I've not even mentioned Vegal Gang.
I know.
So Vegal Gang is a vegan community meetup for vegans and non-vegans, and you can basically come along and try vegan food at vegan places. Mostly they're vegan, or that they do really good vegan offering. Oftentimes it will be like you get 10% off if you join us, or 20% off, or sometimes it's free. I actually launched it with Biker Mama, hilariously, back in April, I want to say, and they were amazing, like facilitating like this meetup, and I've done it in London, Brighton and Manchester, hoping that we'll be able to do some more in the new year. Haven't done anything for around Christmas because I feel like there's a lot going on, but I've got lots of Veganuary plans. So you can find that at little squiggle, Vegal Gang. So it's VEGAL gang. So it's like vegan gang, but the L instead of an N.
Yeah,
kind of a little
warm,
gimmick.
very welcoming, and
yeah, lovely. And my friend designed the logo, and he's a veggie queer guy, and he's great. And I've had so much fun. I've met so many people, and I just wanted people to make friends, and because there's so many people that they're the only vegan in their group.
Yes.
And I used to get messages all the time like, do you know how I can make vegan friends? And then also I'm Louisa-Christie, and it's LuisaChristie. That's on every platform. Instagram's my main one, but I have many a TikTok plans. Whether I stick to them or not is the question.
You've done some really cool TikTok challenges.
I've done some that have done bloody great. And I do also have an account that's Vegans Eat Plenty, that's on Instagram and TikTok, and it's vegan focused. I'm going to take over the world in veganuary, and maybe I'll finally hit 20k on Louisa-Christie on Instagram. Who knows?
Okay, thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. You can like, follow, subscribe, share, all of the good stuff. Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.